This, this is what VK Autobomber is what is all about. Welcome back, guys. I will continue my little series of min-maxed builds before the MP patch hits on March 9th, and today we're looking at a speed farmer. My last video was more concerned with a boss killer that can do well in one-on-one situations with bosses in the room. Well, this one is going to be about how to speed farm everything to your heart's desire, basically. And yeah, it's basically a VK auto bomber and it's doing work. I already toggled the auto cast on. We are sitting at 309 corruption right now in Reign of Dragons, which I think is a very fairly decent boss to test DPS with, simply because most classes have to run away during his big AoE. And because of that, well, we're going to see if we are going to have to do it like that, or if we can just smooth along and just destroy him before he has a chance uh, to make us move. Basically, we'll see if we can face tank him. Um, Pretty sure we can though, because we are technically a sentinel, so we can always just pewter rebuke on the bar. Oh, don't tell me you're over there. God damn it! So these escort quests, as I call them, where you have to kill specific mobs, are extremely hard to do if the mobs are hasted. To be honest, it's just such a pain in the ass. All right, you're here. All right, don't worry about mana. Generally speaking, we have a positive mana flow, and this also helps. Right now, you've seen me. This is my first volatile reversal, which, as we know, causes about 60% more damage for the mob. I spec differently because my gear is absolutely insane. There will be a Last Epoch Tools link to my current um, gear, and it's pretty nutty. It's absolutely pretty nutty. The reason why I particularly enjoy this build is because I can do stuff like this. I just speed run. Even at 309 corruption, I think right now, the build can be incredibly fast. So let's see exactly how quick what we're talking about. We have obviously Shield Rush, but that's just because I like it. It's not mandatory for the build. In fact, a lot of VK players prefer to use something more defensive and defensive at the same time, such as Sigils. For me, it was like, nah, I just want to move this quickly. See, like no issues whatsoever over long, long distances if possible. So this is basically how I build it. I don't regret anything. It's just the way I like to play them, fast and loose. And why would I positively take something away from the VK Auto Bomber that can just farm very quickly? It's not necessarily a great boss killer, and I still have some gear to acquire before this build becomes complete nutty. Right now, for example, I'm sitting at around 37% crit chance. Because I spec my anomalies differently. I don't go all in on crit chance. I go on 100% increased void damage taken by enemies. Um, well, you know what? We're here, so let's just do the Rotting Horde as a boss demonstration real quick. Forget what I said. Okay. Resists are okay. HP is pretty nutty. I don't think I explained that. So right now I'm sitting at 87 vitality, which for the purpose of most of my spells that get 2 adaptive per point of vitality is 174. Um, yeah, 174 added adaptive spell damage. My resists are insanely good, one of the best. I got all the crit avoidance I need. Armor is kind of a bit low. Could go a bit better than this, to be honest with you. And again, in terms of damage, my spell critical strike chance, is actually 33%, which is incredibly low. Well, it does get a bit combated with the fact that my multiplier is close to 300%. That's pretty good. So I got crit strike avoidance. I can improve this and get 60% endurance cap, and I have 4,900 HP basically. You can get over 5,000 HP. None of my gear is absolutely perfect. In fact, I chose to have a bit less HP to get the Siphon of Anguish. Tier 6 void damage. I took it for the leech rate because I'm currently using a Titan Heart. Oh yeah, Oh yeah, which basically prevents regen. So leech rate is my way of combating the fact that I have absolutely no health regeneration. It's disabled by this unique. I'm combining this with Ravenous Void for another 15% DR. You can see my buffs right here, basically my void barriers, which means I have 30% conditional DR using this character. The rest is just health, and I'm absolutely addicted to high level skills, so +4, you know, Devouring Orb. What are you going to do? Ideally, I would change this with a prismatic guard. It's that unique helmet that gives you up to 4% implicit crit. If I manage to get a +4 devouring orb on one of those items, my crit strike chance for spells would jump to something like 70 something percent, which is absolutely perfect. It would quite literally double my damage, I guess. Very close to that. Auto toggle is on. Personally, I want to see if I can channel rebuke, just because I don't want to run away. We'll see if this works. So strategy is pretty simple. We sit here. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. And now we just basically debuff them all we want. The hits I'm getting, even though my crit chance is so low, are pretty significant. You can definitely get something like 22k, 25k crits on bosses. They're a bit harder to see right now because there's so many numbers popping off my screen. All right. God, it's good to be a sentinel, isn't it? Hello, I'm the class that can ignore mechanics, just because I have one of the most busted skills in the game. All right, so he hits somewhat, and I'm also not using smite as a filler, simply because I think it's a bit too intense to begin with. I am simply using abyssal echoes because I like the fact that it's one of the best armor shredders in the game. It has innate effect, which is really good, especially for bosses. Basically, I'm armor shredding the same amount, even with the 60% or close to the 60% reduction for bosses. I'm still armor shredding like a boss. All right, do I get... Oh, 19 with 19. All right, let's let's refresh something on this character. I changed it with an exact other number. So 309 boss, not that difficult. You noticed how little damage you take when you get rebuke. Other than that, you can definitely do shield rush. Since we're talking and you guys might want some further demonstration, I'm going to show you how I speed farm tier 3 lightless arbor, because I'm looking for the unique boots, Foot of the Mountain. A lot of people kind of ignore the fact that Foot of the Mountain have up to 12 all stats on them, which is insane. That's 120 HP. That's basically 50% increased armor because of strength. And that's obviously 12 vitality I can add on top of this bad boy in order to make him even tankier. So my dream is to get like a 3 LP Foot of the Mountain and then absolutely smack them against my current boots. My current boots being tier 7 vitality boots. So if I get a 3 LP Foot of the Mountain, this is what I'm marrying it to. And if I'm lucky enough to also get the vitality, whatever else I lose, this character is going to be absolutely bonkers. The idea is it's very hard to combat the physical damage done by boulders. So in general, I just use this for speed farming. I really, really don't recommend it for boss farming until I get like all of the insane gear that I want. And even so, it might be a bit risky. So for stuff like that, I honestly just prefer to use an absolutely beast of a character that can literally face stack everything. That's my go-to strategy. Mana can get a bit annoying because I love to use Shield Rush, and since I was there, I said, why not also take the Void Beams, which increase mana cost, because it's thematically accurate and I'm purpley all over. If you find yourself having some difficulty with mana regen because you're auto-casting Devouring Orb, simply open your inventory and hover your mouse on something. Because of that, the mouse is not going to be considered on screen, so your character cannot cast. So it's a little tip and trick on how to basically go around the huge mana cost that sometimes Devouring Orb has. The fastest character I can do this with, even on T4, is still my Smiter Paladin, which is going to be featured in an upcoming video. That guy being the absolute beastiest beast that I've made. capable of doing 700 corruption and still face tanking absolutely most of the content. In fact, it face tanks Julra tier 4, except void beams and one shots. But everything else, the ice shot, the concentric circles of lightning, it tanks everything with absolutely no need to use rebuke. In that case, I'm just casting it to her. That's it. No problem. I know that some people manage to push further beyond to dumb stuff like 1,300 corruption, but at that point, defensive mechanics stop working. So it's a technique of playing so well that nothing has a chance to land a blow on you, or you most likely instantly die. All of the defensive layers that you invested in suddenly lose meaning, and they can't possibly be improved by anything else. So yeah, it's quite of a bit of a pickle. Now I apologize for the duration, but sometimes these things spawn like this. All right, more exalt weapons, whatever. The other thing is it's really comfortable and it has the defense necessary to at least attempt those dungeons, the VK, I mean. One of the simplest reasons for that is this is one of the probably best kind of, relic for it. It has health. We don't care about the health regen, we lose that anyway with Titan Heart, and it has vitality. Not to mention, less damage taken for 4 seconds on potion use. So basically, this baby can have 4 vitality, which is already pretty good. And after that, it can also radically decrease the damage you take from the most dangerous types of damage in the dungeons. You need necrotic, for example, for Lightless Arbor. Sorry, not for Lightless Arbor. You need necrotic for Soulfire Bastion. You might need some Void just in case you're not that good for Julra, in case you don't know how to reposition until you learn the pattern of the void beams. And finally, you can definitely use the poison for the second part of this particular boss. You're going to see me popping some pots because, it's pretty dangerous out there. This boss, not the body of the mountain, but the heart of the mountain, does a lot of poison damage. And if I'm not mistaken, it also has poison hit as well, as in direct poison damage, not just dot through the beams that it causes. Anyway, it's one of the harder types of damage to counter since it's a damage over time ailment and there's no hit component, so your armor isn't going to do anything, block isn't going to do anything. It's an entire thing. I'm pretty sure those things can't even be dodged because technically you can only dodge hits, whether they're spells or thrown attacks or melee attacks. It doesn't matter in this game, but still only hits. So good luck trying to mitigate poison without using necrotic grimoire of necrotic elixirs. Grimoire is just absolutely perfect, and it's very low maintenance. You can get it with LP very early on, and until you learn boss fights, I definitely recommend it for all of your dungeoneering. Here we're going to do the Sentinel trick, which is I don't need Shield Rush anymore. The room's pretty small, so I just switch to Rebuke, granting me 80% less damage taken while I channel, making everything resistible. Now we just walk in. All right, start working on the root wall. I send my stuff up there. The boulder kind of missed me. We're waiting for the next one. And now I pressed Rebuke. And we're kind of good. Technically, I don't even need Rebuke, to be honest with you. There is a bit of an extra risk here because, as you can see, we kind of animation stutter at times. And because of that, there are moments when you might have to get hit. You just have to avoid the big AoE in the middle. And if that happens, you're good. All right, cool. So we've killed this guy, the Mountaineering. And now I'm going to either rebuke or use a potion for that 37% less poison damage taken each time the boss has an ability, and I'm just going to dance around their grave. So I'm waiting here until I can... All right. All right, I pressed my poison thing. Damage thing is still happening. Now I've rebuked. And it's dead. That's pretty easy. So we got a helmet with 1 LP and a shield with no LP. I have way too many of these things with LP, except the thing that I want. So this is my speed Autobomber. It's going to take a nerf in 0.9, I've heard, but maybe with Absurd's level of gear, you can even make that work. In my case, I got pretty lucky. I also happen to have a basically almost perfect tier 6 spell crit omnividence, a basically perfect tier 7 spell crit neck, and these things combined mean that I can still go for the crit version of the build. Ravenous Void's absolutely normal. I've shown you my boots. This is my other ring, which incidentally has tier 7 health, and it also has mana regen, void damage, and it has 6 vitality implicit. So yeah, my gear is pretty nutty. Pretty nutty. But I probably will be able to replicate something like this. I hope you enjoyed. This goes out to one of the OGs, about to take a hit in the next patch, VK Autobomber. Good luck farming out there, guys. I'll see you for my next build guide.